They must distance themselves from radicals because they're just as dangerous as this man. This man has already done. These guys these two, let's put it up, these guys have already done violence. Nobody else has, but these have. You're down here. These guys are all just playing games. Blame the Republicans. Blame the Democrats. Just blame everybody else. We're down here. We must shore ourselves up. We must make sure that we're not part of this system. We must go out and look at each one individually. Does she represent you? Does he reflect your values? Does he? Does he? Who represents your values? Because in times of trouble, these are the people that are going to have to make decisions. You don't want these kinds of people around you. I don't care who it is. I don't care who it is. You don't want these people surrounding you. Because at the time that they would say to you, I mean, who was the guy just the other day that is the Muslim apologist that can memorize the entire Quran but can't remember what he said a few years ago about Sami Al-Arian that Barack Obama put around him? You don't want people around you like that. America, we've got all kinds of problems. Violence is not the way to solve it. Do you want an entirely new system? I don't. I don't. I want the system that they did. I don't like the IRS. They audited me after I was harping and telling you about Timothy Geithner. Guess who got a knock on the door from the IRS? I don't like the IRS, but I don't think they're riddled with bad people. I don't want to kill them. And anyone who does should be in jail. We're headed for a time, we're at the beginning. We're headed for a time of great stress. And we need people of character leading us. Get away from anybody who's calling for a revolution. Whether it's a Tea Party revolution or a communist revolution. The reason we need to separate ourselves is because when the going gets tough, it is hard to tell the difference between right and wrong. Sometimes it's very hard to see. You must promise yourself today, excuse no one's violent behavior. Because, well, I don't agree with their tactics. Excuse no violent behavior on either side. It's not American. It's not what we do. We are so far away from ever having to use that point. I hope to God we never do have to have a revolution in America. But this ain't the time. Have you really, truly exhausted everything? I have not yet begun to fight. The enemies of this country are very clever. They really are. Let me give me a little bit of history. And for all history professors, I apologize. I'm not an expert on the French Revolution. I'm not an expert on anything. But the French Revolution, I'm just beginning to figure it out. Why did the French Revolution end the way it did? And the American Revolution end the way it did? This ended in freedom. American Revolution, 1775 to 1783. The real thinkers here on our Constitution, Jefferson and Madison. But we had George Washington, an amazing man. I'm going to tell you a story in a couple of weeks that will boggle your mind on the honor and integrity of this man. I love him. The French Revolution had Robespierre. Sorry, we ran out of time to make a little picture with a magnet on it. But he was the guy, really, that had the French Revolution. He was the Washington of his time. Well, when the French Revolution started, the Americans were very excited. Very excited. We the people. We the people. And the French said, yeah, us too. Mon ami. It was so exciting that Thomas Jefferson endorsed the French Revolution. And Thomas Paine went over to support. Remember, Thomas Paine was kind of the, I don't know, my apologies to Thomas Paine, but kind of the me of the generation. I mean, I can't think of anybody else. The guy just saying, hey, really, stand up. Come on, we can do it. He was kind of, he was the media guy, really. He just did pamphlets. The rest of us just do TV. So he came over and he said, you know what, I think I can write. I think I can help, because this is great. When he got over there, he realized, there's a problem. Because Robespierre decided he was going to execute, behead the king and anybody else that got in the way of the revolution. Thomas Paine said, whoa, wait a minute, hang on just a second. Thomas Jefferson's like, okay, wait a minute. Where was Thomas Paine? He spoke out, and then he ended up in prison, ready for execution. They were going to behead him. Unfortunately, or fortunately for him, the whole thing fell apart, but it ended in massive bloodshed. Now, why? What was the difference between the French Revolution and the American Revolution? Here it is. We the people. It wasn't defined, really, at the time. I'm going to throw a name out. This actually happened in, I think, 1793. This man was really a predecessor of Karl Marx. It was very, very slippery. When Jefferson and Thomas Paine can't figure it out, you know something was very close. We the people, Washington and Jefferson and Madison, they talked about the rights of men. We the people in France were the rights of man. Difference. They looked at each person individually and said, we are all men. It's me. I have the right. I have the right. I'm going to do what I want to do. I'm going to not be part of a collective, but I'm an individual. Robespierre was a collective. The rights of man. It's a huge difference. A huge difference. This is Marx. This is Che. This is Van Jones. This is progressive. Have you ever noticed how many times people say, oh, well, they're just too stupid. Oh, they don't even have any place in society. These people didn't say that. These people do. My point is, it was such a fine point when people talk about liberty and freedom and democracy and the rights of man or the rights of men. Most people don't even think this way. It's a word game, but words are critically important. Please, watch yourself. Do not be around people who A, have a tendency to violence, and B, have called for a revolution. We don't need one. We've already had one. The ones that commit violence stand with Robespierre. The ones who say, we are a republic and we will solve this as Americans, they stand with Washington. Back in a minute.